Are you managing change, whether it be in your home, your business, your church, whatever environment? Give these things some thought. Are you ready emotionally, mentally, and physically for the change yourself? Do you have a plan in place? Think about it and plan how you're going to do it and what you are going to do to bring about the change effectively. How will you articulate your change? I've had people that have tried to put together a change plan or a project of changing from one information system to another, or church leadership change. There have been a number of different changes, and you can see when they start speaking about the change that they haven't fully thought about how they're going to do it, and then the way that it's articulated can leave people a little bit, what's going to happen? How's it going to happen? So slow it down, think about it, plan the change effectively, and then articulate it well. And in articulating it, use different types of media. You could use your website, you could use WhatsApp, you could use videos. There are very many ways to do it, via email, SMS messages, each one building on the other to reinforce the message that you want to bring across about how you want to do the change. Make sure that you put together the right infrastructure, because I've been in a business where we were taking on another organization and our infrastructure was not ready to take on what we were taking on by way of the personnel, the information and data, the assets, the products that they were selling. Our shareholders hadn't given enough thought to how the two were going to amalgamate and how they would work together, and what the social, structural, personnel, skill, logistic infrastructure changes needed to be, or how they were going to work together well. So wait and don't rush into a change. Stop and say, this is what we want to do, and this is what we've got, and how do we marry them together, and how will all the different moving parts fit together to bring about an effective change and a bigger, better, improved situation. I read an interesting article where one of the directors of EOH blamed the fact that they took on up to 60 different organizations in less than a year, and they were fraying at the edges because it became too much too soon and they could not manage the change. So change management is so important. I've even seen change in families, moves, relocations, new marriages, struggling because of a lack of understanding, a lack of planning, a lack of the necessary infrastructure. And then keep up the impetus for your change. What do I mean by that? I've been in projects where you start off well, you do all the right blah blah, bells and whistles, trumpets blowing, all this exciting stuff that you're sharing about this great change that's coming. The marketing's there, the media is there. The ball starts rolling, people get communicated with and start buying into the plan, and then suddenly everything goes quiet. What's next? What's happening? It could be that you have a company building an information system or some code or an application for you. It could be that you're waiting for something to be manufactured in a factory that's going to be brought onto site. There could be so many different variables that are causing this sudden plateau in your change management. But let people know. Say, hey, this is what's happening, this is the period of time it's going to happen for, and then, so that people will say, okay, well, we're still doing this. But in the meantime, don't stop communicating about, hey, this is what we've done, this is our progress thus far, so people feel like, hey, we've moved forward, we've done well. Then say, this is the delay and why it's going to be, and this is when we're going to start again, and this is what will be needed, so please prepare for that time when we get going again. I was in a meeting this morning with a business manager who has been doing actually a very good job of buying into some of the changes that we've been doing with the way that he manages his teams and shares and collaborates in a shared space. And it was so great to be able to give him that positive feedback and say, hey, that's fantastic. You've done well on these areas, and can we meet again to discuss these areas? So it's giving them that feedback and keeping up the impetus of running things forward. And then you've got to listen. You have to listen to people, hear what people's concerns are, understand what the frustrations and the challenges are. We were looking at the one lady, and everybody's been saying, but she's just not buying into this change. She's still sitting in Jerusalem, and when everybody else has gone to Sudan, it's just not working. She's delaying us. But when we logged onto her platform and we looked at what she was doing, we realized she didn't have the right user interface, and she didn't know where the stuff was that she needed to be working on because of her user interface. So listen, take time to stop and go, how should this be working? What should people be seeing? What should they be understanding? And then you suddenly realize, okay, we need to hear. Maybe people are fearful of the change because they think there's going to be loss of jobs, or maybe the change isn't practical in the way that they're having to work. And so you've got to say, I'm listening, listen with understanding, and how do we adjust to work forward so that we create the right environment to move forward and the right effect so that we achieving that long-term goal of what we want to achieve. Leading by example. Also this morning we were in a meeting with a director of a company, and we've worked some time now with his team. We've been in meetings with him as well, and we all thought we were on the same page with regards to what the plan was, what the change is going to be, and how everybody will work in that new changed environment. And then when we asked him to demonstrate how he's using it, his response was, no, but I work my own way. I've got my way of doing things. You guys know that. I've been having a chat to him and telling him, well, you know what? If the leader of the business doesn't want to buy into the change and demonstrate that he's prepared to work the way he's asking everybody else to change for, you're never going to get the team to buy in. So we had to spend some time today to demonstrate and illustrate and show him how the system that he wanted would work more effectively. And I'd like to believe that we did articulate and demonstrate and illustrate well enough, because he certainly seemed to be more with the program and more at ease, and realizing that actually the new way is better after all. But be prepared to lead by example. And then check back and correct. Because you think you know what you know until you discover you don't actually know what you thought you knew. Or when you start rolling out your changes. Doing my daughter's bedroom once and putting up the murals and the curtains and all this, and you're going and you're buying and you're getting all excited about the different components and parts that you're putting together. And when I started putting it together, and I realized, oh no, that doesn't work with that, and that isn't practical because of this. Okay, so how do we now look at it and say, okay, what works, what doesn't work? How do we have the boldness and the courage to admit, that doesn't work, chuck it out, or how do we change it so that it will work? And hear from people and be willing to admit that you've made a mistake. When you've made a mistake, if you want people to trust your credibility and your authenticity, just go, sorry, mistake. How do we fix it? Have a plan to fix it and fix it. But always be careful. When you're fixing your mistakes or when you're adjusting your plan, don't come for the quick fix. Got to get this right. Got to get it fixed. But you're ruining your future sustainability and your future effectiveness. So it might mean that you've got to go back to planning. It might mean that you have to go back to listening. It might mean you have to get new impetus going so that the change that you had planned on gets adjusted to the right place so that your future is more sustainable. But change can be fun. It depends on your preparation, your communication, your willingness to adjust, your impetus, and leading by example. Have a fantastic change. Go well and be blessed.